we're gearing up to the local elections. What are you expecting to see?
Well, it's difficult, obviously, when you're just on the eve of those elections to state with definitive certainty what's likely to happen. The experts, has been well advertised, Rallings and Thrasher, the sort of gurus of polling, say that they expect the Conservatives to lose about 1,000 seats.
Up to 1,000, the worst case scenario. That's not the exact prediction.
And it is challenging, you know, all the points about the point in the lifetime of this Parliament and some of the challenges that we had as a government last year, I think make it tough. But we've got some very good candidates. We've got a very good record in local government on everything from maintenance of our roads, the amount of money that we've devoted to potholes, to keeping council taxes low, to making sure that when, for example, big planning decisions are made, that Conservatives make sure that we protect the green belt and safeguard the environment. And, of course, when it comes to recycling as well, Conservative councils have a great record when it comes to waste. So I hope that the good work of Conservative councillors is rewarded at the polls tomorrow.
Potholes and bins. You know, we're in a local election bingo season. It's certainly, we know that those votes are coming up when you guys start talking about those things. I spoke to Keir Starmer, who said that actually the Conservatives should be making gains in these elections. 2019, he says, was the second worst set of results ever. Theresa May apologised and a few weeks later resigned, and that was the end of her. And he has got a bit of a point, hasn't he? I mean, you say that, look, the experts are predicting up to 1,000 seat losses, but they're predicting that because of how badly you guys are doing in the polls.
No, I think, again, Sir Keir will say one thing one day and another thing the next in order to, you know, try to...
Well, he's been quite consistent in saying about your polling record.
I don't think the Labour leader has been saying that Conservatives should be making gains very often. He does it because he tacks with the wind in order to, you know, he's a classic politician.
Sorry. I'm getting very confused by the direction we're going here. I'm asking you about the reason that you are setting to lose seats at the election is because of how badly you're doing in the polls.
Well, and indeed you put it in the context of Keir's spin, and, you know, he'll say it as he always does because of the political advantage of the moment that he's seeking. But the broader point is that we are facing a challenge after what was a very difficult year last year. And the one thing I would not want to see is the good work of Conservative councillors on the ground affected by the backwash of what happened. I also think that there is a recognition that with a new Prime Minister in Rishi Sunak, with the focus that he's put on halving inflation, reducing debt, growing the economy, cutting waiting lists, and, of course, stopping the boats, that people will, I hope, be ready to vote Conservative tomorrow and ready to see us deliver over the course of the next year or 18 months.
It's going to be quite tough in some of the sort of traditional blue wall, shall we say, some of the places like where you represent.
In Surrey, yes.
Do you think it's going to be a difficult night in those kind of shires?
Well, I think that there are challenges everywhere. And I think
specifically there? I
think that we know that there will be some opportunist political parties and movements that will seek to generate or catalyse some of the challenges that we've had in the past in order to try to take control of some local authorities. But ultimately, I think that the record of Conservative councils, the efficiency that they've shown, I hope will be rewarded. More broadly, though, I would say, as the Secretary of State responsible for local government, there are people in all parties who do believe in contributing to their communities. So I wish all the candidates well, but I really hope that people will re-elect Conservatives. And in Surrey, the Conservative council record has been one of, to my mind, you know, superb delivery, including in my own constituency, which is one of the most attractive places in Britain to do business.
I want to talk a bit about housing. You mentioned there the sort of green belt. You've also said previously the housing market is broken.
Yes.
And we desperately need more homes to bring ownership within reach of many more people. Are you going to be taking on the NIMBYs?
Well, I think that it's wrong to characterise people as NIMBYs. I think it's insulting to use a phrase like that. I think the critical thing is we need to go with the grain of what people want. People do want new homes, but they also want new homes which are beautiful. They want the infrastructure alongside them, the investment in schools, hospitals and roads. They want to retain democratic control, and they want homes that are environmentally situated in the right locations. That's why the green belt is so important.
I'm interested to hear you say homes that are beautiful there, which obviously everyone would prefer a beautiful home. But I'm just wondering about, you know, where the line is. You know, you recently blocked Berkeley Homes from building houses in Kent because they're generic suburban. What's so bad about generic suburban? Doesn't the priority need to be getting houses?
No. The most important thing is to make sure that we have homes that are quality dwellings that people can take pride in,
But
and
it
also...
can be a quality dwelling, but generic suburban, right?
No, well, first of all, that is a specific planning application which is now being judicially reviewed. I can't go into the detail, but there's a very good letter in the Times today pointing out that actually the design code, which was adopted by the local community, has to be complied with, and it is important. We all believe in local democracy on the eve of local elections, that local democracy is honoured. But more broadly, if we simply concentrate on the quantity of homes built and don't concentrate on quality, what we risk creating are the slums of the future. You and I both know about some of the recent tragedies that we've had in poor quality rented housing, poor quality social housing, and in poor quality private rented housing. So we need to make sure that homes are high quality, that they contribute to a sense of community, and the pile them high, sell them cheap approach that we saw in the 1960s has now, unfortunately, led to people being in homes which are just not fit for purpose.
You mentioned the rental market there, and one of the biggest barriers to people getting their homes is because they can't afford to save up for them, right?
Yes.
So, just looking in London, a third of your wage now, most people's wages are spent on rent. Rental prices up 15% on last year. What are you doing about it?
We're introducing new legislation. It'll be out next week. It's a renters reform bill, and it will change the way in which the relationship between landlords and tenants work, providing tenants with new protection, which should ensure that they are better protected against arbitrary rent increases.
Are you not worried on the building homes front as well, what scrapping targets is going to do?
No, I think that it's a misnomer to say that we're scrapping targets. We still have a commitment to 300,000 new homes every year. And what we've done is we provided incentives for local authorities to set achievable targets, taking account of the importance of protecting the environment. And if local authorities do not set an appropriate number of homes that are built, then they will find that their plans are overruled by the planning inspector. But it's a more sensitive, nuanced, pro-environment, pro-democracy approach.
I want to talk to you a bit about Sue Gray. There's been a lot of focus on Sue Gray, the senior civil servant who left to become Keir Starmer's chief of staff. Now, you worked with her for many years, right? So you know her more than most. Is she a woman of integrity?
Totally.
So do you have any concerns about her appointment?
Yes, I do, and they relate to Keir Starmer's role. The key thing is Keir Starmer could share with the public, with Aqaba, and indeed with the Cabinet Office, details of all of his contacts with Sue and all of his team's contacts with Sue and others. He has chosen not to.
Do you think
his silence condemns him. It's unchivalrous, it's untrustworthy, it's wrong. The responsibility is Starmer's.
At the same time, though, you say she's a woman of integrity.
Yes.
Therefore, I would imagine, believe that she wouldn't do anything that would be, breaking the rules or against the rules. Our deputy political editor, Sam Coates, saying today that the first contact between Sue Gray and Keir Starmer was in October. I mean, that's after Boris Johnson, that's after Partygate. What's the concern? Surely you do talk to somebody before giving them a job.
Well, the person who can clear this up, as I say, is Keir Starmer. He is the elected figure, the public figure, with the responsibility of having initiated this approach and having taken this decision. He should come clean. His failure to do so suggests to me that he has something to hide. It's up to him.
Now, it's been a pretty difficult time for the civil service, the scrutiny on the Sue Gray appointment. There's been, of course, the focus around the Dominic Raab report as well. The man at the top of the civil service, Simon Case, is in the papers, I think, more than I can remember anyone else in that job. Is that a sustainable position for him?
Yes, I think it's simply the case that the media environment in which we live, and I don't complain, it's just a fact of life, means that there is more focus sometimes on individual characters at particular points, and there will be individual people who will be, in the pitiless spotlight of news scrutiny at certain points.
He is in the spotlight, and it's the decisions and the advice that he's given that has come under question. Whether it's Sue Gray, whether it's Nadhim Zahawi, whether it's Boris Johnson. Is this sustainable that he's getting this constantly in the press, constantly his decisions being picked over and questioned?
Yeah, I think it is sustainable, and I think it's wrong to concentrate on civil servants in this way. I think that the inevitable focus on whoever was Cabinet Secretary is a consequence of the turbulent political times through which we've been living. So whoever had been Cabinet Secretary would have found themselves, because of a period when you've had 3 prime ministers in relatively quick succession, would have found their role as the Prime Minister's principal policy advisor, among other things, held up to the light. So
he was a victim, I guess, of the chaos in the Conservative Party, is what you're trying to say.
I wouldn't say that. I think that we've been living through very turbulent political times, but I think that the Cabinet Secretary and other permanent secretaries strive to do their best for the elected government of the day. Of course, there's going to be scrutiny of them, but my own view is that we as elected politicians should be grateful to them for the work that they do, and we should appreciate their commitment to public service.
Are you going to be pledging allegiance to the King this weekend?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What's your plans?
Well, I'm very fortunate as a member of the Cabinet, or certainly as a member of the Cabinet at the moment, to be invited to the coronation, and I shall... it's a great honour. It's a moment when our country comes together. It is, on the one hand, a moment of religious and historic significance, but it's also a chance for us to recognise that our history has been a history where we've achieved enormous things and made great progress because there are also symbols of continuity. And so this country, the home of the NHS, the country that defeated the slave trade and defeated fascism, we did all that because our constitutional bedrock was secure. The more secure your home, the further you can venture. And in that sense, our royal family, the monarchy, is a symbol of that security. So I'll be celebrating the institution, as well as also remembering both the service of Her late Majesty the Queen, but also the commitment to so many great causes of the King, not least the environment.
Clearly a bit of a royalist, then. Have you got any street parties? Are you getting a quiche out? Later
in the day, I'll be with a few friends, and yes, we probably will go mad with the coronation quiche.